On the last day of winter, I finished this small A6 sketchbook that has changed my idea of art journaling as something complex or intimidating, something that I have to prepare for before I make an entry. Through it, I've discovered the magic of tiny creative actions and have figured out how to document my life in a very fluid, playful, unfiltered, and surprisingly satisfying way. I realized that personal art practice doesn't have to be big or bring us to somewhere significant. On so many days, we just need to witness our own existence and bring the sense of belonging to ourselves back. In this video, I'll share with you the idea of this tiny art journal that I initially called 1 and 1, but then it developed into a 3-ingredient formula. I will show you different ways of using this formula to make art journaling less daunting, even for complete beginners. And I will also tell you how adding unpolished texts can turn pages into something poetic and curious to explore. And in the final part of the video, I will unpack this absolutely new art journal that I've been saving. I will use the same concept in it, and I will fill out the first page together with you. There are timestamps in the video, so you can navigate it the way you want it. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Anna, and I started this channel to share art journaling tips and inspirations, and also how I build my personal art practice for self-exploration. I also have another YouTube channel where I make more philosophical videos about life in general. I post there maybe once in 3 weeks or once a month, and I also have a Patreon community where I publish new, more personal and vloggy videos every week about more tender subjects, including art and crafts, of course. I won't talk about each and every page in a linear way here because I think it might be too boring, but I will show you key entries to illustrate the points that I will make. I've come up with a 3-ingredient formula for art journaling by myself, and it all started as an experiment. I bought this quite nice moleskin journal when my husband and I just arrived in Serbia last September to rebuild our life once again. I felt overwhelmed yet craving to create because it's my main coping mechanism. So I decided to turn this into sort of a diary by drawing or painting one object that I see or interact with on a particular day, adding one piece of paper as a collage element or elements, and then writing down unfiltered words or phrases that come to me. As simple as that. One drawn or painted object, one piece of paper, plus unfiltered words. It was the simplicity of this approach that made a difference in comparison with other art journal projects that I have. And now let me talk about each ingredient in the formula in more detail. The first ingredient is an object to draw or paint. In my journal, it was always the first thing, the starting point. I used simple black pens like micron pens or analogs, brush pens, colored pencils, gouache, watercolor, Derwent pens, and one-time oil pastels. I would draw the outline in quite a messy way. I don't use pencil and eraser, and then if I felt like it, I would add color. But 3 entries were colorless, and here I added a tiny little color detail with a terracotta brush pen. I used different orientations and placements, different sizes, and the objects were whatever caught my eye and didn't feel intimidating to depict. A chair, various lamps, mugs, kitchenware, a cookie, a door, earphones, other art journals, sunglasses, a ginkgo leaf, candles, perfume bottle, plants and branches, my hand after all. As you see, I didn't pick anything exquisite or fancy. Those are ordinary things that were part of my day. And choosing to document them felt so right at that moment, as if I allowed myself to embrace the visual simplicity of my current life experience. It also felt very grounding back then, and it still feels grounding when I flip through the days that I've lived. By the way, on this channel I have a video where I suggest how you can interpret the symbolism of things that you choose to depict. The second ingredient in this formula is paper. I would pick just one piece and then either use it as it is, or I would cut or tear it into several fragments and arrange them into a composition to fit the drawn object. I didn't overthink the composition and the choice of paper. I just knew that whenever I felt like art journaling in this particular book, it meant that I craved a simple and tiny creative action that automatically excluded overthinking. Here are types of paper that I would use: napkins, grocery receipts, tea bag labels, packaging, food labels, copybook pages, pictures from magazines or books, scraps from my previous collage sessions. Here is a piece of sugar packaging from a coffee shop, or here is a deconstructed ticket from Belgrade Botanical Garden. When I just started this journal and made several entries, I wrote down this thought at the back of the book, not to forget. It says, pieces of paper are like fragments of physical days that ground, support, and add realness of living through the experience. And you know, by the end of this art journal, I stand by this initial insight 100%. I am a very sentimental person. I like keeping things, yet the story of my life unfortunately doesn't allow me keeping most of my sentimental items, and I know the pain of having to part with things. I know the pain of realizing that farewells are irreversible, and it's just important to let go of things, places, and people. And art journaling, and this art journal in particular, makes it possible for me to take fragments of my days alone to remember them. And those fragments of days don't have to be beautiful, they don't have to be the most meaningful ones. The realness of them is what matters. This way of adding paper elements is a fun and low-pressure way of exploring collage. Yes, it's collage, and I'm a big admirer of this medium. It's my primary medium through which I discovered the artistic nerve in me at the age of 30. I use and love many different collage styles, and this art journal, together with its liberating and therapeutic release, gave me a lovely field for experiments. The third ingredient in this formula that I would add after the previous two were already on the page was the text. At first, those were just some short descriptions of the day and impressions, like fish seen in the botanical garden, or description of our temporary stay, street musicians. Then I began to depict my feelings, certain sensations, more inner work, and my way of processing the reality. For example, here I wrote, a sense of home that is slipping away. And I wrote text in my mother tongue, which is Russian. Or here I wrote, day falls like a stretched sweater. Or stop burning myself for the love of solitude and quietude. It was the day when, yet once again, I was being harsh with myself for not wanting to socialize and be out of the apartment and out of my shell. One phrase is in English here, something that my husband told me to help me calm down. Yeah, the words and phrases that I wrote down in this journal are not polished, they are not thought through. I poured some fragments of me there without the urge or need to shape them into something more coherent or whole or big enough to be a poem or even a sentence. I wrote using the outlines of the drawn objects and pieces of paper as guiding lines. Thanks to it, texts were mixed in the whole entry, the whole picture, And somehow it just felt safer for me to write them that way. So often we feel self-conscious about what we make, what we feel, what we write, what we express with our whole existence. And I'm not an exception, I'm very self-conscious. But at the same time, I believe that we cannot simply make things worse by showing more of our human heart, of sharing it. Yet things can definitely go downhill if we choose to hide behind the stone walls from others and even from ourselves. I'm drifting into a more philosophical area, and it was not the primary purpose of this chat. So let's move on to the second practical part of this video, where I will start a new art journal with the same concept. For the first entry, I decided to draw a stack of my journals, as a reminder and also as an encouragement to never stop expressing and exploring myself. Those are not all journals that I use, I have more, but for this session it's just enough. I got my supplies and tools ready and again did my best not to overthink. This moleskin sketchbook is pricey and I was not going to buy it again, but my husband gifted it to me saying that if I really like it and there are no mini sketchbook variants here at a lower price, then I should have it. It was very sweet of him, and I do enjoy moleskin paper quality and thickness. It's 165 GSM. It holds all mediums pretty well and has a very lovely off-white color. The reusable paper band has additional printed tools, but I don't use them. I recently bought a big paper clip to keep sketchbooks open, and it's very convenient to use and I love the color. My heart still drops when I make the first marks. I still don't use pencils and erasers for my art journaling sessions. This helps me nurture self-trust and embrace spontaneity, and also accept imperfections. I am self-taught and I draw how I can, not striving for exquisite realism. Once the outline is drawn, I begin to add color with my watercolor paints. I definitely have gaps in technical knowledge of drawing and painting, but I try to learn when I can. Yet this gap cannot stop me from creating, and the moment when I realized it was a real turning point. I don't have all the time in the world, and hence I want to make things here and now. For the collage element, I decided to add a torn piece of transparent tracing paper. It's been one of my favorite materials lately. Maybe in the next video or in some future videos I'll show you my art journal experiments with it. I just tear a fragment and glue it to the page so that I can lift it off the page, like a curtain. By the time when I took the pen to write, words have already been born in my head. I wrote about the clouds and the changing light and my hurry. It felt right. It felt like me being honest with myself. This is what I wrote. Anxiously enduring the race of clouds and the variability of light. All day I've been hurrying up time so that I can finally stop and just be. It's somewhat silly. It's hard to explain, but this new entry and the finally started new journal made me feel so lighthearted and safe that I have this little container where I can go to draw, paint, collage and write myself down in a simple and unpressured way and feel better. Let me know in the comments if this video inspired you to try a similar art journal format that involves very low pressure art practices and techniques and also feels like a safe container for self-reflection and memories. I will also post a text version of this exploration on my Substack. The link will be down below, and I will do my best to organize myself and begin to post more text articles there, so keep an eye on it. Thank you so much for spending this time with me, dear fellow creatives. I'm wishing you to have enough quiet and soothing moments to make art just for yourself, to feel grounded and at peace. And I will see you in the next video here on my other channel or on Patreon. And until then, пока-пока.